Hey everyone, how are you today? Thank you for being here. How is the sound? Let me know, those of you. I'm zooming into the Facebook group and Zoom and meeting. What's the reception like? Can you hear me? I'm in a new location, which feels really odd, and it's been an interesting start to this session. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm really glad you can hear me. That's amazing. Yes. All right, brilliant. Oh, good. You can hear me now in Zoom and Facebook. That's great. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, fantastic. Can you see the slides, my beauties? Okay, let's do this thing. Thank you for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm Jerry. Thank you so much for being here. And it's really, we're going to have some fun today. I want to introduce you to the 5 steps to creating what you want, whether that's the life you adore or one particular thing that you want to focus on today. And as we go on, I will invite you to actually focus on one thing so that you get a real feel for this absolute magic that I'm going to be sharing with you. So you're in the right place. I'll tell you in a moment. How you'll know you're in the right place. But today is not for you. If you want someone else to do the work and to take the action, what I'm going to share with you, this method is absolutely incredible. But it does take work and it takes commitment. But I kind of know in my heart that actually your dreams mean a lot to you. I don't think you would be here otherwise. If you're not willing to open your heart, most importantly, your mind actually, to the information that I'm going to be sharing with you today, some of which will be scientifically based. It's time to open your heart, open your mind, so that you can finally create the life you adore. So today is for you. If you're an aspirational person, can't understand why you have not fully created the life you adore, and you're willing to do whatever it takes, if you're ready to live a life you adore. I just want to really thank you for being here. I'm going to guide you through these 5 steps, these definitive steps, so that you know how to create what you love, so that you are living a life you love, a life you adore. And then I'm going to be sharing with you how you can take the next step if that's what you'd love, so that you can work with me. So what I would love to do, I know a lot of you know me, some of you don't. I'd love to ask your permission to tell you a little bit about me, as we're going to be spending some time together today. So I remember usually in the shower this morning, I had some incredible ideas, okay? And I just thought, well, yeah, a great place to get aha moments and clarity. It's like when you switch off, all the answers come to you. But that was not the kind of time that I was having one morning 20 or so years ago. I was in the shower. I was on the hamster wheel, the treadmill, working 70 hours a week. And I remember I was in the shower and I just didn't want to go on. And I almost passed out in the shower. And well, that could have been a really nasty accident. It was almost like time slowed down, and I had the choice. I could have fainted, passed out, or I could have just gone on. I didn't pass out. I did go on, but I went into work that day and my life changed forever. I was very, very, very stressed. I was ill. I was going to acupuncturists and all sorts of healers every single week. And they would literally save my life and put me back together again, because I would push myself. I was a bit of a party animal then as well. But, you know, the stress and the demands of the work and the job were literally killing me. And I was a TV producer. I was producing the Trisha Show. I'd worked my way up the ladder of success, only to get to the top and realize that actually that ladder was leaning against the wrong building. So my way of making it okay was me making sure that my guests would see the counselor after the show. That was my way of kind of trying to make a difference in the world, to make this world a better place. And I was in the producers meeting, and I heard the news that changed my life forever. They announced that the counseling budget was going to be cut. And in that moment, I knew that I couldn't continue doing this job. So I literally, almost instantly, handed my notice in. And I'd wanted to study all of these incredible modalities for a long, long, long time. They fascinated me. I'd actually wanted to get out of the media industry for a long time as well. And this was one of those giant leaps. And, you know, for a long, long, long time, I couldn't decide what to study. And then I kind of had a bit of an aha moment. I thought to myself, well, what is it that I love to receive more than anything? And it was shiatsu. And I thought, well, why not that? And I'd been doing the odd kind of drop-in class and, you know, learning a little bit about it. And what I realized was that actually I love to give it as much as I love to receive it. And it's this incredible modality where you literally, you know, you can hold a little point on the wrist and it heals, you know, it puts you to sleep, or it calms your mind or slows down your heart. And, you know, there's all of these different points, 150 of them I learned. They all have these amazing, incredible benefits that are almost always instantaneous. I just need to adjust the aircon. So I studied that for 3 years. I got my diploma. And I suppose you want me to say that then life suddenly was incredible and amazing, but it actually wasn't. I struggled with getting myself out there in the world. I didn't really believe in myself, you know, even when people told me that I had a gift and all of that. So actually what happened was that I started on this journey of working on myself. I studied everything. I didn't know all the things that I know today about tension and about creating. So I actually started, one of the first things that I did was shamanic healing. And I remember the shaman, one of the things he taught me, and I really didn't understand it, was that you need to be it to see it. And I didn't get that at all. I tried. But I had a lot more to learn, and I'm going to share much of this incredible wisdom with you as we go on. But I was desperately working on myself. I was studying all of these things. I was using vision boards. I studied Ho'oponopono and affirmations all over my home. Studied the law of attraction, The Secret. Actually, from a very young age, I learned transcendental meditation, and I must have learned every other single meditation under the sun. All sorts of different shamanism. Reiki, crystal healing, shiatsu, which I've already mentioned, the I Ching, traditional Chinese medicine. And I discovered oracle cards and tarot cards, and I had a little bit of an addiction to them. NLP, intuition, intuitive coaching. I mean, honestly, you name it, I studied it. And something that I realized was that I couldn't hold on to success. So this is me guiding people through meditation. This is about 15 years ago, one of my very first ever events, teaching people how to be a creator of what they love. This is when my life really changed. That's me in Hawaii, and in Spain, there's me with my old foster dog, Napoleon. And I achieved, my money goals and the levels of success that I dreamt about. But I wasn't able to sustain all the money or the success that I created. And I hear this from a lot of people. It's what I call an oscillating pattern. I'm going to be talking about that later, about how, we can almost fall into a trap of working on ourselves. Okay? And also how even sometimes when we create what we love, we can't sustain it, and why that is. Now, the other things that I hear from people, especially when I talk about creating a life they adore, they're like, oh, Jerry. And like, oh, but this, Jerry, and that. And they've got all these excuses and mistakes and myths that they believe. It's not possible. These dream lives and creating a life I adore and all of that is for other people. It's not for me. Those people are richer. They're prettier. They're this, they're that. It's going to be too much hard work. I don't have it in me. Often that's disguised as the I don't have the money excuse, but actually it's that people actually don't believe in themselves. I'll do this or I'll get this program, but I actually don't believe it's going to work for me. Yeah. And then another fear is that, well, what happens if I get the success? Or, I get the millions, I get the man, I get the whatever, the good health. I'm going to lose it. And this is very often a very unconscious belief. I'd rather just stay in this miserable comfort zone that I'm used to, rather than have the incredible life and then lose it. And I get that. Because especially when we've got a history of, in inverted commas, working on ourselves, and we feel that that's a very worthy thing to do, we're never going to be able to sustain our dreams, even if we manifest them. So another thing that I get is that, people they'll ostracize me. If I'm rich, if I create what I love, I'll lose my friends, I'll lose my family. And then number 5, as long as I'm clear on my dream, it will manifest. It's a myth. And unfortunately, it's sold very widespread and I just want to put a little disclaimer in here. I'm never slagging off any other modalities. I think in the right structure, a lot of modalities are incredible. But when you're focused on fixing yourself and you're focused on the problems, and you stay in that structure, and I'll explain this, as I said, in more detail as we go along, then that structure is what you're in. It's what you stay in. It's like the structure of the river is the riverbed. So the river flows from the mountain to the sea. It doesn't decide to go off and go left and go down the motorway. No, because the structure of it is from the mountain to the sea. Now, if your structure is what's the problem or what do I need to fix, then you're always going to end up in a place where you're looking to work on yourself and improve yourself, because it's like you build that comfort, that comfortable zone. Your ego is really happy when you're working on yourself. When I was introduced to this work about 15 years ago, I used to have a real battle with the teacher because he would slag off every other modality, and I absolutely detested that. But what I realized recently is that he was just a really bad teacher. And I love him and everything, but he's just a really bad teacher, because what he wasn't showing was that actually other modalities can be great when they're used in the right structure, when we're focused on what we do love, when we're focused on what we do want to create. Is that landing with you? Now, because what I was going to say was that the law of attraction, for instance, it's got its benefits, there's wonderful things about it. There's more than one law. And the other thing is that when you're only focused on what you want to create, you're not allowing yourself to be real about actually where you are in relation to that. Okay? When you are clear on what you'd love to create, and you're real with yourself about where you are in relation to that, excuse my French, but even as much of a shit show that it is, because you're human, it's okay to be in your stuff. And it's natural to feel tension when you're creating. Tension is a natural part of being a creator. We're not taught this. We're taught to have a dysfunctional relationship with tension, to try and resolve it. But when you can just sit with tension, it naturally resolves of itself. So we need to I'm just checking in with you. How's that landing? What's the highlight so far? What are the aha moments? What are you getting? Let me know. It's true. Like, And I'm really glad you're quoting me on the shit show thing. Thank you for choosing that. But it's true. I lived my life until I was in my 30s thinking that being positive was the way to go, and it's not. You know, this fake positive face. And underneath it was like misery. Because you need to know, if I want to fly, let me finish that sentence. You need to know where you are to create what you love. So you've got the vision, you know what you love, okay? You've got to know where you are now in relation to that. It's like if I want to fly to New York, I've got no hope in hell of getting there unless I'm clear about where I am, you know? So that myth, as long as I'm clear on my dream, it will manifest. It's not true. If I ignore my current reality, it will improve or go away, or the law of attraction or the angels will magnetize my dream. That's what I used to believe. The angels will make it happen. And I've got to tell you, when it was pointed out to me that I was in my ego, I was in my spiritual ego with this belief, oh boy, did I kick up a fuss and resist it. I did not want to, like, I'd lived my whole life like that, Mrs. Positive. And, you know, if I'm meant to live by the sea, the angels will make it happen. But my life changed when I started to be real. First of all, about what my heart would really love, just because I'd love it. Okay? Not because it would make me lovable or rich or anything, just because I flipping love the sea. So when I was real, when I allowed myself to be real about what my heart really wanted, yeah. And then when I was real about where I was in relation to that, and at the time I was living in London, and I kept, you know, working in TV was a great excuse to keep me away from the sea. And then I became the shiatsu practitioner, and all my clients are in London. That's a great excuse to keep me away from the sea. If it's meant to happen, the angels will make it happen. Rubbish. And I'm just sharing my stuff, my old stuff. It's probably different for you. Like, what do you flipping love? What do you love? Where are you now in relation to it? Number 7 of the myths. If I just keep taking action, I'll get there. Because very often we're taking action from our wound or our ego. Unless we're really clear about, no, this is my heart that's telling me this. And we teach you all of these things inside of my programs. And then I have to believe I can manifest my dreams. I've never believed all of the dreams that I've manifested, which everything that I've created, you know, I know, first of all, they're always a million times better than what I've dreamt. And those dreams have been huge. And I've never believed. So you don't need to believe. You just need to follow these steps that I'm sharing with you. Yeah. All right. And do feel free to put any questions in the chat box, because I'll scroll through at the end. We'll do Q&A. And you might want to save questions as well in case I miss them in the chat. So yeah, pop them into the chat and save them in case I don't see them, so that I just want to make sure I address all the questions. But it's really interesting because all my friends were like, oh, Jerry, try this modality. This is like, you know, this is amazing. This is the new thing. But then I looked at all my friends They were spending thousands and thousands and thousands going to all these big events. And that's what I asked myself. I was like, well, if it works, like, why isn't everyone living their dream life? Vibrant health, their dreams come true, energy, love, abundance, success. And even, you know what's interesting? Because I think it's great to ask questions. And I didn't really talk about how I ended up as a TV producer. I talked about that. I talked about leaving that world. As a kid, I was always asking these questions about, like, why are we here? Why are we here? My poor mother. I must have driven her crazy. Why are we here? And I had a very, very, very troubled, unhappy childhood. I actually tried to check out a couple of times. Yeah. It kind of really quite amazing when I think back, actually. And I remember all I ever wanted as a child. I remember at one time, you know, when people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always used to think that being a boy was an option. I was a bit of a tomboy as a child. But anyway, once I realized that that wasn't an option, the things that I used to say were, I want to be independent. I want to be free. And I think that really links in with the thing that people want more than anything. You know, relaxation. I think everyone, that's what everyone is aiming for. When you really, especially entrepreneurs and people like us, you know, if you're on this call, if you keep asking a question, well, why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? I bet you eventually come to relaxation. So anyway, I left home as early as I could. We attend what we call school, not college or anything, but school until we're 18. And literally, as soon as I finished that, I'd worked in London for a couple of summers before that. I'd made friends. I was into soul music and this 1960s music and driving a scooter, and I'd made loads of friends. And so basically, I'd already kind of, you know, got a great circle in London. And then as soon as I hit 18, I legged it to London. And I was meant to become a social worker. But actually, I had to be a year older. So I rang my mum and I said, Mum, I said, I have to be a year older. I have to wait a year to do this training. I'll just work at anything. I just wanted to stay there, you know, and I wanted to have fun and everything. And she said, oh, no daughter of mine is going to work at anything. You'll do a secretarial course. And that was the last thing in the world that I wanted to do. But actually, I did end up doing it and I loved it. Well, did I love it? Well, what happened was I did it and I ended up becoming a secretary. Like, I kind of just kept taking the easy path, the path of least resistance. And eventually I started temping at Channel 4 television. And within the first week, I'd met loads of my heroes. And I received a letter from someone who wanted to do a documentary starring my hero, who was Paul Weller. And I was just enamored. I had never been ambitious before. And this was the spark. It was just like, oh my God, like this is this is where I want to be. This is dream come true. Anyway, that was the start of a decade of, as I said earlier, working my way up the ladder of success. I got the job at Channel 4 that I wanted eventually after doing another one for a couple of years. I was working with the commissioning editor for Youth and Music. And we go back to this lovely, working with the commissioning editor for Youth and Music. And I was basically the connection between my bosses, and the youth audience. There's me at Glastonbury Festival with Michael Eavis, the hero, legend who created Glastonbury Festival. And so I had guest lists all over town, all over the world, in fact. Movie premieres. I met Will Smith. I actually thought he was flirting with me, but then realized that he was flirting with everyone there. And, it was an incredible time. But I really was, it was a great life. But it was also a living nightmare because of the stress. And as I was saying, the 70 hours a week, it was slowly killing me. And I was a very broken person. I didn't talk about, I said my childhood wasn't happy. My dad died when I was 6. And I was never told. I kept hoping he would walk back in the door one day. And I created this big myth, or, fantasy is the right word, that he wasn't dead and he'd walk in the door one day. And it's my deepest wound. And it's also my greatest learning. And, that's the thing about our deepest wound is, as Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you'll call it fate. But now, thank goodness, I have, found and I'm living my purpose. It took a few detours, and I'm passionate about what I do and about sharing this work. And thank goodness I have found peace of mind. And more than anything, relaxation. Like, the prep for this was just, hanging out by the pool. I was actually going to do this event down by the pool with the sea in the background. I'm kind of really glad I didn't, actually, because it's been really difficult to put it together and get the focus and concentration. I'm not in my normal office. So I think that would have been absolutely crazy. But anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's important to know that, one of my favorite images is the lotus. Out of the murkiest, most grim conditions, a lotus grows. And I'm not comparing myself to the lotus, but, I do compare this work to the lotus. It's incredible work. It's incredible. So I had lots and lots and lots of questions. As a child, as I said, Mum, why are we here? And now, through my path of really between the time of leaving TV and now, I had all of these questions, and now I'm really pleased to say that I'm here with some answers. And I'm offering you premises. I'm not saying this is the right way and this is, this is the gospel. I'm saying, look, a premise is something that you're offering. You're saying, look, take this and live with it and see if it's true. And, you can look through, I haven't updated my testimonials in ages. I've got loads of people offering me testimonials and I keep forgetting to get my assistant to chase them up. But anyway, this has created miracles in people's lives. This work alone healed cancer, tumors. Someone who was legally blind got their sight back. Diabetes. I mean, lots and lots and lots of miracles, healings. It's very, 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 very powerful. So, and all of these questions and the answers, not only did the answers come, but I was able to test them out in clinical practice with my clients, with my friends. So they're not just answers that, there's scientific and clinical proof and backing behind what I'm going to share with you. The first was realizing how to live in the heart, guided by the intuition, and use alchemy. Now, alchemy is another word for, I would describe it as, the ancients describe it as turning lead into gold. And it's what they were actually doing, but they were trying to hide it because they didn't want to get found out and punished or told to stop doing it, was that they were transforming tough times, negative thoughts and feelings into their treasure, their gifts. And this was a really beautiful finding for me because of my background of being Mrs. Positive and denying tough times. I didn't feel comfortable feeling negative emotions or being real about negative emotions until I was in my 30s. And, I went to therapy. And one of the things I've noticed about therapy, I don't know if I can create a new, no, I probably need a different slide for that. But yeah, not right now. One of the things I find about therapy is that it takes years and years and years to get to the point that you want to get to. And then we have NLP and hypnotherapy and things like that. And they can be hours and hours and hours. And then you've got what I'm going to share with you today. And these shifts can happen in seconds. And I'll explain more about that. And I'll talk about the origination. The origination, is that the right word? That's the right word I'm looking for. The creator, really. Well, the creator of all of the modalities that I've combined into the MM method. I'm going to be talking about these people in a moment. So the first was intuition and alchemy. That was huge. Living in the heart and being able to transform those tough times rather than ignore them or deny them, but use them and transform tough times into our treasure. So the second step is, and I touched on this at the beginning, the shaman in Glastonbury taught me this, and I really didn't understand it. I tried to live it. I tried to get it. Nearly 20 years ago, and failed miserably. But I know I can explain it now, and I'll be teaching it to you today. And that is, you've got to be it to see it. So when the shaman taught this to me nearly 20 years ago, it was around finances. Because I used to have a bit of a love-hate relationship with money. And it used to be my area of growth and my area of challenge, but also my area of growth. And this is what he said to me. He said, Jerry, you've got to act as if. So I went out and I spent all the money I didn't have. And that's not it. And I'm going to tell you what it is later on as we go along. And not only did I have huge ahas about it, but I'm going to share them with you. So hopefully you too have many, many aha moments. I'm even going to be talking about what an aha moment is and show you a clip of someone having an aha moment. Show you a clip of their brain having an aha moment like having one of those moments where you go, oh my God, I get it. And we're going to show the brain actually re-sparking 2 neural pathways. What's the phrase that Dr. Joe Dispenza says? Neurons that fire together, wire together. You're going to see a clip of that actually happening in a momentito. And that is re-sparking or re-sparkling the brain. And this is something that was created by a gentleman called Dr. Gary Flint, who's now retired. He was working with people with severe trauma and PTSD. And he discovered how to teach an aspect of your consciousness called the superconscious, how to release that trauma. In fact, how to let go of any patterns. Hang on, I'm just going to shut the balcony door because 2 seconds. So yeah, working with these clients, he was psychotherapist, psychiatrist, and he used the superconscious to teach the brain how to let go of these traumas. Okay? And then that modality was actually improved in our structure and what we teach here in the MM method. So that actually, rather than fixing yourself in that old, I'm working on myself paradigm, you're actually focused on what you love. Yet the superconscious is just letting go of those old neural pathways that are ensuring that you create the same old, even if you don't want it. So 20 years of clinical practice, study, working with shamans all over the world. I'm so happy to present to you the MM method. And I'm going to share with you the first 3 steps now. So first of all, what would you love? What's the vision that you would love to create? What is it you'd love? And in our programs, we work with, excuse me, I'm going to nip forward to the next slide and I'll come back to this. But we work with what we call true choices, which are just, they're the things you'd really love to create just because you love them. Maybe a great home, or, you know, a business that you love, or, you know, a partner, a love relationship, a family, whatever it is, you know, what would you love? But we also share 4 orientational choices. And I'll give you a moment to read those yourself. But they're like you're orienting yourself. You're saying, this is what I'd love. So I choose the end result. Now that really should be a life I adore. Oops. I choose the end result of a life I adore. You can say a life I love if you love. I'm favoring the adore word at the moment. I choose the end results of being. And when you're reading these out, and when I'm reading them to you, just allow yourself to be in that end result. Like, what's your life like? What's different in your life? How are you feeling? Who's around you? What's happening in your life? I choose the end results of a life I adore. I choose the end result of being the predominant creative force in my life. What's life like? How is life? So you, no one else, is in charge of creating your reality. You are creating your reality. So what are you creating? What's life like when you are the predominant force of creation in your life? How juicy is it? And most important, I mean, honestly, where have I gone now? Choices, health. I am just going to put this right at the top now, you know? For me, health is it's the most important thing. A person that doesn't have their health, I think it's the one thing they wish for. Let's put that up there right now. I choose the end result of being vibrantly healthy. I choose the end result of being vibrantly healthy. Allow yourself to step into that end result now. What's that like? What's life like? How does it feel? What's happening? How does your body feel? And you even might notice, look, I'm doing something different. I'm playing basketball, or I'm going swimming, or you might notice what's different about your life. But just notice, this is such a, even though we're going to go much deeper into creating and strengthening new neural pathways as we go on in the training today, even just imagining these things is already sparking new neural pathways or strengthening already existing ones. I often say to people, if you can't do anything, just imagine. Imagine what you'd love, because we all have wobbly hours, wobbly days. We're human. No denying here that we're human. But if you can just imagine, what would I love? And if you can, just be okay that you feel shitty. Because very often, like, the real problem when we're having a wobbly hour or a wobbly day is what we're making up about it, what we're telling ourselves, like how we're defining ourselves. So cut yourself some slack at those times. Like I don't think I was feeling wobbly, but I just had the most delicious day the other day. I hardly got out of bed all day. I did probably I showered and I had yummy food and all of that. I spent most of the day just chilling and journaling and reading. And it was absolute bliss. And I just noticed my ego going, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'm like, well, why not? Who says? The ego is always trying to flip and play tricky monkey, cheeky monkey. Oh, it's a funny thing, the ego, isn't it? It's a funny thing. So I choose the end result of being vibrantly healthy. And finally, I choose the end result of living my true nature and purpose. I choose the end result of living my true nature and purpose. Imagine yourself stepping into that end result. I'm living my true nature and purpose. Never allow yourself to go how. That'll just catapult you back into your left brain, your logical brain. Just allow yourself to step into that end result. I choose the end result of living my true nature and purpose. So they are the four main choices that we work with. One of those might be jumping out for you today, so that we can, you could focus on that as we go along. Or you might think of something else that you'd love to create or love to focus on, because I'm actually going to be taking you through the Respark process, so that you can let go of any resistance that you might have, okay? So, right, where am I? Choices. Let's go back to this slide here. So that's the first step, is getting clarity on what you would love. And you want to just choose something you'd love to create because you'd love it. Not because you'll look good in the eyes of the neighbors, or not because it'll make you money or give you freedom. Just choose money or choose freedom. Choose something because you'd love it. Just choose something because you'd love it. And I'll be coming back to this. So something might pop now. That's great if it does. And if it doesn't, just chill with it. Chill with it. We'll come back to that. So the second step. So where are you now? Where are you now in relation to that? What are the thoughts, the fears, the beliefs? Right, what are you feeling? Is there fear? Is there doubt, regret? What are all of those feelings? See, I'm going to stop screen sharing for a moment because I want to spend some time on current reality. This is a muy importante, as my old Spanish teacher used to say. Jerry, very important, muy importante. So I'm not sure how this is going to go today. This is not my usual office setup, as you can see. So and I've got my whiteboard on my knee. There's nothing like being real. Nothing like being real. So I want to share something that's quite important, which I talked about earlier. Okay. This is us, you, now in current reality. Okay. And just say that you have a dream over here in desired. Oops. Desired. Oh, God. Hold on. There we go. Flipping hell, honestly. Right, there we go. We got a love heart as well. So, here we are, okay, in current reality. And Maybe we think we're not good enough. NGE, we're not good enough. Or maybe we think that we're not lovable or not worthy. Okay? These are some beliefs that might be playing out in current reality. But just say that we have a dream. Let's say, what will we choose? Yeah, let's choose the business. Okay, so let's say, I don't know why this is like really challenging on my brain at the moment. Anyway, there's nothing like showing up in all your magic, is there? Even when you're not in your office. So I'm actually in the hotel that Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing a huge training with nearly 2,000 people, which is incredible. Like incredible. It's incredible. But that's another experience altogether. So what happens, right, is we get clarity on a dream. So let's say it's the successful business. So we start taking steps to create it. Okay? The closer we get to it, the more tension arises. Okay? So, you see this band. If I pull it, we've got tension. It's the same when you get clarity on your dream, point A, okay? And you're here in point B, is that right? Yeah. Okay. As you move towards your dream, so here we are, here's current reality, moving towards the dream, the tension increases. Okay? Tension increases as you leave your comfort zone, your current reality, and you move away towards your desired reality. We're not taught about tension. Okay? So what happens? The ego is really not happy because what it thinks is that you're going to be different when you create your dream. And actually, you think you're going to be different when you create your dream. You know, it's like when you think the things that you want to create, why do you want to create them? Oh, I'll be happier, I'll be richer, I'll be this, I'll be that. And there's something I often say to people. You know, people kind of, you know, they want more money, say. And I'm trying to explain this to them. And they go, but Jerry, you haven't seen my bank account. You haven't seen my bank account. But the thing is that if you can't be happy sitting on the beach with your love, with a cheap bottle of Plonk and some sarnies or a picnic or whatever, you're not going to be happy in the fancy restaurant with the golden cutlery. It used to be silver, golden is all the rage now. And the fancy tablecloths and the waiters and the wine of hundreds and hundreds of dollars a bottle. If you can't be happy on the beach, you're never going to be happy in the fancy restaurant. You're the same person. You're the same person. So this is why I say, create what you love because you love it, not because you think it's going to change you. Because your ego will never let you create it. And even if it does, it won't let you sustain it. That's why I could never hold on to success. Because it was horrible. It was so uncomfortable. My ego didn't want me to have it. It wanted me back here. Like I often use the metaphor of if you grow up in a family where every single morning you get up, I'm going to keep those on actually. You get up and you go down to breakfast and you get hit over the head with a hammer. Okay. Now, I want you to substitute get hit over the head with the hammer with I'm poor, have problems with money, have problems with relationships, see my dad being abusive to my mum, have ill health all around me. Put in whatever dysfunctional behavior or in inverted commas problem that you may have had or that keeps coming up in your life. So you go down to breakfast every morning, get hit over the head, excuse me, hit over the head with a hammer, hit over the head with a hammer, hit over the head with a hammer. And then you go and stay around your mate's house. And you stay over and go down to breakfast and they don't get hit over the head with a hammer and it feels really odd. Now your unconscious will do all it can to recreate that reality. Get hit over the head with a hammer. Oh, that feels good. So like, what's your thing? What's your thing? So this is why we do the Respark. We're coming to that. But I need to educate him. We need the education because otherwise this is not going to land. It's not going to stay. It's not going to work with you. We need the education. We need the why. Okay? So what happens here when the tension gets really intense? We go and work on ourselves. We go and read another book. We go and do an ayahuasca ceremony. We go on a retreat. Rah, 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 positivity for a few days. And it feels good for a while because the ego is happy because you're not going for your dream. You're working on yourself. And you see this spiritual ego thing. I lived it for decades. I used to wear it as a badge. I'm so good. I'm working on myself. Feels good. You're reading the books. You're at the retreat. You're not in the uncomfortable. Continuing to move towards creation of your dream and then sustain it. You'll never create or sustain your dream when you think you're going to be different when you have it. Okay? You here, right now, are the same person as in your desired reality. If you believe otherwise, you're never going to be able to create what you love. Or if you do, you're never going to be able to sustain it. That's why I couldn't. And so many people that I see, especially those who are in the old structure of working on themselves. They might create something nice for a while, but they don't sustain it. Because also they don't understand about tension. Here's the other thing about tension. So there's me, current reality. There's me in my dream, what I'd love, okay? What's the natural thing for it to happen when tension increases? What's the natural thing? If you hang with the tension, and any of you who are already in my programs, you should have already typed this in. Good. Okay, good. Yeah. Tension seeks resolution. When you hang with the tension and you don't work on yourself, you don't try and fix yourself, and you're not creating this because you think it's going to make you better or richer or different. Tension seeks resolution. Hang with the tension. You're never going to get rid of these beliefs. It's a flawed premise. I love, Isaac Newton said, I'm standing on the shoulders of the giants that went before me. And I'm so grateful for all of my teachers. I love them and I'll never slag them off. Oops. And I didn't get this when they taught it to me because they just taught it really badly. But when you're focused on fixing yourself, you're never going to create and sustain your dream. You gotta want this just because you want it, just because you love it, just because I love a successful business or the sexy man. Not because it'll make me feel loved or lovable, just because I love it, just because I want it. You here is equal to you here. All right, I want to stop for a moment and I want you to tell me what's landing for you. What's landing? Because often people have seen this. Like even people have been doing the work with me for years and they get it on a new level. So tell me, what's landed with you? What's the main thing that's landed with you so far? We are over an hour into the training. What's the main thing that's landed with you? It's true. You are the lotus. Yeah. And it's interesting, a lot of the modalities that I've combined into the MM method, they were in the structure of working on themselves and fixing themselves. So it's revolutionary what I'm sharing with you. It's all of the best, the breaking news, revolutionary. It's got a bit of Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's got a bit of Dr. Bruce Lipton. Lane McTaggart, who talks about the field. We'll be talking about the field later on. Greg Braden, William Whitecloud, creating an intuition. All of these giants standing on the shoulders of all of these incredible giants. Yeah. Yeah, you've got to hang with the tension. Yeah. Tension is juicy. I love it. Okay, that's a good question. Actually, you know what? I think the next slide is that I'm going to go through our predominant sabotaging beliefs. So thank you for that. Let me see, where's my PowerPoint? Yeah. So here are the predominant sabotaging beliefs. I'm unworthy, or I'm not good enough. You see, you're either focused on one of two things: what you'd love to create or your beliefs. Okay? So here are the beliefs: I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, I don't belong. So the I'm not good enough, that's the person with lots and lots and lots of degrees. And they're like, once I have this, then I'll be good enough to create what I love. It's like, I'm not good enough to have what I love, to create what I love. I need to be good enough. And the I'm unworthy, they're very often the people that do charitable acts, and they're not worthy of having what they love. They need to be seen as, and to feel, they need to be seen as worthy in the eyes of others, and to feel worthy and loved themselves. But it doesn't matter what they do, they're never going to feel that. Even if they go to all the belief flipping, curing conferences or whatever, do they even exist? It's like, we've got these beliefs. So you just create what you love. Stop working on yourself. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. These people, they're desperate to fit in or belong. They're always looking for their tribe, or they might be creating their tribe. And again, they feel like they need to, they can't have what they love. They feel like they need to belong first, They need to fit in. I'm insignificant. I'm invisible. Again, they're not going straight for what they love. They're not creating what they love. They're hiding away, or they don't feel significant enough to have what they love. Very often they're I'm going to create, very similar to the unworthy belief, create, charities and this, that, and the other. But they're not doing it because it's what they love. They're doing it so that they'll seem significant. The next one is I'm not capable. It's kind of what it says on the label, really. I'm not capable of creating what I love. So I'm going to, they often act very incapable, mucking things up, getting stuck in trying to understand rather than just creating what they love, rather just taking the steps and doing it. Very often blaming others as well, because it stops them. It stops them from looking like a fool. And I want to talk about why we create all of this resistance in a moment. The next one is I need to be perfect. So they get stuck in everything needing to be perfect, them needing to be perfect. They're the people that very often show up with perfect makeup, perfect clothes, perfect hair, all of that. And they get stuck in the perfection thing rather than just creating what they love, rather than just getting out in the world and doing it. So why do we create resistance? I thought I had a slide about that, but I don't. We create resistance so that our beliefs about ourselves are not seen. Okay? So if we believe that we're unworthy or we're not good enough, okay, and we hang on to that belief, or even we might even decide to work on that belief, we're happily stuck in this pattern where we're not creating what we love. So guess what happens? No one finds out that we believe ourselves to be unworthy or not good enough. So these are all ways to stay, in inverted commas, safe, again, in that comfort zone, what I call the discomfort zone. So we create resistance so that our beliefs about ourselves are never found out. But what's the point in that? It's like, why is it, a ship is not built to stay in its harbor. But the great news is that because you created this resistance, you can clear it. You can clear it. Isn't that the good news? Does that answer your question about the beliefs? Thank you for that. Yeah. All right. Thank you, my loves. Thank you. Okay. You see, yeah, if you create what you love, the identity thinks that it has to die. So it'll put all the doubts up. Do I really want, maybe, I hear this all the time. I don't really want that. I don't really want that dream. And it's like, no, it's just got difficult for you and you don't want to feel uncomfortable. You're making out that this tension is something it needs to get rid of. No, hang with the effing tension. So I want you to write two things down, beauties. And I know a lot of you already have this ingrained in your brain, ingrained in the brain. Tension seeks resolution. Okay, is the first thing. And the second thing, so tension, I'm writing that, tension seeks resolution. And the second thing is you got to hang with the tension. Got to hang with the tension. First of all, you've got to be aware that it's tension. And then you got to hang with it. You hang with that flipping tension. Hang with the tension. All right. So I want to go into the area of teaching around the Respark. I want to teach you about our levels of consciousness and I want to teach you about our levels of consciousness, dormant memories, and how dormant memories come into our active experience. So you might want to take this opportunity to let's have a 2-minute break, actually. So for me, it's 59 right now. So let's take a break and come back at 2 minutes past. So let's have a 3-minute break. Let's have a 3-minute break. Because very soon we're going to go into the actual Respark, okay? Who's excited about that? Yeah, bathroom break. Whatever country you're in, whatever you call it, that's what we're doing. 3 minutes. Okay, we're back again. How are you doing out there? Can everyone hear me? How are you doing? Okay, so we're going to move on. Just give me a one in the chat box. If you're back and you're ready. And remember, save any questions as well, because we will be answering questions at the end. Great. Okay, great. I'm seeing good questions. I love it. Okay, so remember me talking about this. You must be in your future feeling now. I'm truly satisfied with everything I have now, and I want more because I love it. But now needs to be equal. You know, the feeling now needs to be equal to the future feeling. So we must let go of trying to get somewhere or get away from something. The example I want to share with you is, okay, let's take money, for instance. I know billionaires and multimillionaires that are as happy as Larry. Yeah, that's a bit of an Irish phrase. They're happy. I also know multimillionaires that are miserable. I know multimillionaires that are as tight with their money. And I know multimillionaires that are really like generous and abundant and sharing. I know multimillionaires that are really worried about their money. And I know multimillionaires that are not worried at all. So, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Well, one of the things is that money is simply a measurement of value. It's simply a measurement of value. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and this can trigger a lot of people. You know, people think they need to be happy, or they need to be generous with their money, or they need to hang on to it. No. Money measures the amount of value you've given another human being in a way they want to pay for it. So all that money is Money measures the value that you provide another person in a way that they want to pay for it. That's it. That's what it is. So, does that spark lots of questions? What value can I provide? And also, what crazy beliefs did I have about money that have ensured that I stay messed up? Or that have ensured that potentially, I haven't been able to create millions or the kind of abundance that I would love. Yeah? So it's time we're moving into the Respark experience. I'm going to learn how to respark your brain in an instant. This combination of the work of the amazing Dr. Gary Flynn. So, have you ever been in a situation where you react in a really crazy way to something that didn't really deserve that kind of reaction? Triggered, some people call it. Give me a yes in the chat box. Yeah. See, what happens there is there was a dormant memory, maybe pre-birth, maybe post-birth, maybe something that happened in your childhood that got triggered. Maybe it was a trauma. It got triggered and you react. So if I was to say to you, okay, so I've just said what did, so no memory has been triggered, okay? But then if I was to say, what did you have for lunch yesterday? Let me know in the chat box. What did you have for lunch yesterday? So what's happened there? I'm getting hungry looking at all these yummy things you had for lunch, people. What a range. So what we've got here, what happened was so this is your active experience, okay? Your day-to-day, I'm aware. This is what I'm aware of. This is my awareness. And you've got your unconscious, okay, and your self-conscious. Let me explain about the three memories, actually. So your superconscious memory has been with you. Your level of superconscious has been with you through all time and space. It's directly connected with the field, the one mind. And it came in, so it's been with you, as I said, through all time and space, even pre-conception. Okay? Your unconscious memory came in at birth. For some people, it comes in the third trimester. Okay? But it's basically the memory, the level of consciousness that comes in when you're born.
Is this yours?
Okay. And then you've got the third memory, your self-conscious memory. And that comes in between the age of 4 and 7 years old. Before the self-conscious memory comes in, it's your ego, basically. Okay. Before that comes in, you're a sponge. You're taking it all in. You're conscious, you're learning. Okay. So these are your 3 levels of consciousness. Superconscious, which is who we'll be working with later on. We'll be directing your superconscious to actually make those changes in your brain. Okay. And then your unconscious. Your unconscious is the part of you that, you learn languages, you learn how to speak, you learn how to drive. And then your self-conscious is the ego. Okay. I know that's a lot to take in, isn't it? So I'm going to show you in a moment how what happens in your brain when you have an aha moment or when you learn something. Who wants to see that? Yeah, it's actually what it is someone learning how to play the piano. And what happens in their brain when they're getting it, when they learn something. Okay, who wants to see a little bit of that? All right, cool. Oh, hang on, I know. Let me just cue that up for you. All right, is that playing yet? Can you see YouTube? Let me know when you can see that. No? I don't know why it's not showing. No? Can you see it now? That's so weird. Okay. Don't you love technology? Okay, it should be showing now. Okay. Can you see the YouTube screen? I'm going to play this a couple of times. This is someone learning how to play the piano. And in a moment, you're going to see two neural pathways joining together and sparking. Look, to create a new neural connection, spark, to create a new neural pathway. As we have, that's someone having an aha moment, someone learning something new. This is called, I'm going to make it larger and play that again. This is called Hibbs rule, Hibs. And what it shows is brain cells actually recoding themselves and rewiring in the moment. Okay, these are actual electrical impulses slowed right down. Okay, so it's these cells coming together and it's a new connection being made. Two neurons re-sparking, reconnecting. So when we use the word re-spark, it's actually a physical change. So when we're using anchoring or connecting an external event with an internal stimulus, this is what's happening. Isn't this amazing? So this is what's happening to your brain now when you're having aha moments, when you're learning things. These are real physical connections so that your thoughts do manifest in the physical. So even if it's simply just two neurons coming together, it's a really big deal. Who thinks this is a big deal? So there's no such thing as one option and you're stuck with it. We observe into being. When we change the observation, we change what is created and transformed. This is what's happening when we do this work. So this is the re-sparking. You see these electrical impulses coming through. This is what happens on this close-up. And this is what we're about to do in a moment when you form this new connection. So when you're doing the work later today, we're going to do the recode in a few minutes. This is the physiological change that will happen inside of your brain. Who thinks that's just incredible? Isn't it just amazing? This is what we're going to be doing. this. Beautiful. Re-spark. So you're going to re-spark and create new associations, new connections. You see, there's no such thing as a set way of being. And you're not fixing. You're just shifting to a new way that you think about something, which is very, very different. Right, let's go back to the slides. So there you have all the memories, super conscious, that we're going to be connecting with, which has been with you through all time and space. The unconscious with you from just before birth or birth. And the self-conscious, or some people call it the ego. Which comes in between the ages of 4 and 7 years old. So you see what I did earlier, and this is our superconscious. Whoops, God. This is our superconscious. There's you and your family. There's me and my family. And here we have the active experience, what you're aware of now. You see, when I asked you the question about what you had for lunch yesterday, what you had for lunch was a dormant memory. These are all dormant memories. And when I asked you, when I finished the sentence and asked you what you had for lunch yesterday, the dormant memory is triggered and it comes into the active experience. And that's what happens sometimes when we're triggered. Someone triggers maybe a childhood trauma. And we're triggered and we're like, why did I react in such a way? It's because a dormant memory was brought into the active experience. Yeah? So you've got the main personality here, the active experience. And then we have part personalities, maybe the inner child or the wounded lover or the protector controller. You see, all of these part personalities can also get triggered when we're going for what we love. Right. So, guess what? It's time. So we're going to go back here. So we looked at current reality. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And we're going to allow those dormant memories to come into the active experience so that we can let them go. They're resistant, so that we can allow them to be released so that you can re-spark and create new neural pathways. Who wants some of that? Who wants some of that? Okay, I'm just changing this. What's the... So, what would you love to create? Step 1. Step 2, where are you now in relation to that? So in a moment, I'm going to be asking you some questions around that, but I want to take you through all of the 5 steps Just need to make a little amendment. Nothing like changing the slides as you're doing the presentation, eh? Working on the fly, baby. All right, so here are the 5 steps. I promised you at the beginning of the call today that I was going to share a little bit about myself, share a little bit about the background behind this work, the science, the proof, and actually give you an experience of the Respark process. And that's what we're moving towards sharing with you now. So, what would you love? What is it that you'd love to create just because you'd love it? Just because you'd love it. And I know that you've been considering this question already today. Maybe you've already got the answer. Feel free to share that with me in the chat box. Feel free to share that in the chat box. What is it you'd love? And remember, we went through the 4 orientational choices. And the first one is, I choose the end result of being healthy. I choose the end result of being healthy. Maybe that's what you want to focus on. I choose the end result of being vibrantly healthy. And the second one, I choose the end result of living my true nature and purpose. Who wants to focus on that one? Let me know in the chat. And then the third one, and these are in no particular order. I choose the end result of being the predominant creative force in my life. I choose the end result of being the predominant creative force in my life. Let me put those up on the slides, actually. There we go. And then finally, the fourth one, I choose the end result of living my true nature and purpose. I choose the end result of living my true nature and purpose. So you can either choose one of those or choose something, another area of your life, okay? But only one, just one, because remember I talked about tension earlier. You can't, just for this process, you can work on all areas of your life with this work, but just today, I want you to choose one. So one of those choices or one area. So it could be, I choose the end result of overflowing with money, or I choose the end result of a delicious sovereign relationship with my man, my love, or I choose the end result of my beautiful home surrounded by nature. So just one area. And remember, these are not to prove that you're worthy or you're good enough or any of those things. They're just because you'd love them. Just because you'd love them. Okay? So feel free to share in the chat box. Yeah. Feel free to share what you want to work on. So has everyone got a choice that they're working on? Because you need that to move forward. That's the first step. Okay, good. Great. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, why not choose, like, why limit it to just that amount of money? Why not choose overflowing with money or more money than I can spend? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so give me a 2 in the chat box if you're clear on what you'd love to focus on, what you're working on, what your step 1 is, what you'd love to create. And then we move on to step 2. All right, brilliant. So let's go on to step 2 now. So where are you now? Where are you now? So what are the thoughts and the feelings, the fears? It's so hard. So you're clear on what you'd love to create. So what are the thoughts about that? You know, or the beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I have to be perfect. What are the thoughts? Maybe you wake up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning. What are the thoughts, the worries? What are you thinking about that? So what we're doing now is we're getting all of these things that are dormant memories, bringing them into the active experience so we can just let them go, because these are the things that are stopping you from creating what you love. So what are the fears? Are there emotions? Is there guilt? Is there anger? What are the negative emotions connected with this? Feel free to share in the chat box. Beautiful. I love the vulnerability. Thank you. Yeah. But it's just, isn't it just so freeing just to see it? And it doesn't mean anything. You know, we all feel those kind of emotions. Yeah. So how would you finish this sentence? I would love to create that. I'd love that dream, but. I'd love that, but. And then how are you defining yourself? How do you see yourself? How do you perceive yourself? I am. How are you defining yourself? I am. And then the next is, how are you perceiving? How are you defining others? How are you perceiving others? Maybe people that already have this dream. Maybe how you think people will judge you when you've created it. Maybe, what else is there? Like, how are you defining yourself because you haven't got it already? Get all of that up. All right. So we're just bringing, because this is just all the subconscious, the unconscious resistance that's there. So we're just bringing it up into the active experience. So you can just let it go. Right. Step 3. This is what I'd love you to do. Just imaginatively put all of that resistance, excuse me, all of those fears, all of those worries, putting them in a bubble and giving them a number out of 10. 0 is no resistance at all. And 10 is the most resistance you can imagine. Yeah? So 0, no resistance. 5, obviously halfway. And 10 is the most resistance you could imagine. And just type that number into the chat box, please. So from 0 to 10, just the first number that comes to you. How much resistance is there? And remember, this resistance was created by you, so it can clear it. We're asking, we're directing, communicating with the superconscious to let go of this resistance and create new neural pathways so that you can create what you love. Okay, 10. Thank you for sharing. 10. 8. We've got a lot of 10s today. Okay. Fantastico. 7, 5. Okay, good. A lot of the same numbers. A few 7s. Well done, peeps. Okay, beautiful. All right. So in a moment, I'm going to connect with your superconscious. I'm going to ask you to give me permission to connect with your superconscious. And I'm going to be giving commands directly to your superconscious. And I want you to, if it's comfortable, close your eyes and just notice what you notice. Okay? So you're clear on what you'd love to create. See, we're in a structure. We're not fixing you. You're just focused on what you love to create. And you've simply got resistance. And we're going to just allow that resistance to drop. Okay? So has everyone typed in their number of resistance? Yeah? Fabulous. Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter if you're between a 7 and an 8, that doesn't matter. Yeah. Great. Well done. Okay, fabulous. All right, so please give me permission to connect with your superconscious. And just type a yes into the chat box. can stay in there now. I'll be here. I thought I'd move out to the balcony. All right, so has everyone given me permission to connect with your superconscious? Please give me permission to connect with your superconscious. And I invite you to close your eyes and just notice what you notice. I'm going to be speaking directly to your superconscious because it can do the work. It can let go of this resistance. Okay? So I'm going to be giving commands directly to your superconscious. And in a little while, I'll ask you to open your eyes. And we'll check in and find out where the resistance is, okay? But I'll speak to you. Oops, I'm going to move the table a bit closer. I'll speak to you directly. I'll say, open your eyes, or, come back to me. So superconscious, are you there? Right. So superconscious, do you see this resistance? Everyone here and everyone watching the replay. Can you please tag and treat this resistance and do a massive change history and everything is needed? Thank you. Subconscious, do you see those family patterns? Can you please tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything that's needed? Thank you. Thank you, superconscious. Superconscious, we have past, present, and future events. And we also have alignment with desire, the I am, the alignment with desire statements, I am, I desire, I will, I commit to. Then we have body systems. All of the body systems, the endocrine system, the energy systems, the meridians, the points, the organs, the skin, the fascia. The chakras, front and back. Can you please tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything is needed? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So how are you doing out there? Gently, please gently open your eyes and let me know your first number and where you are now. Your first number, where you are now, 8-1, 10-5, 10-3. Great. I guess some of you are still processing, and that's fine. Just notice what you notice. So let's go back in again. Superconscious. Please give me permission again to connect with your superconscious. Superconscious. Thank you. So we have remaining resistance. We have the part personalities of protector, controller, inner child, the wounded lover. Yeah, this saboteur, dominant, submissive. All of these sub-personalities. Can you please tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything is needed? Thank you. So we have some resistance around follow through and commitment. You know, fear of moving forward, fear of making the wrong decisions, fear of making the wrong choices. There's a whole load of stuff around past decisions. And rather than seeing them as stepping stones to where you are now, like seeing it as that you shouldn't have made that decision, or that was the wrong step to take. And I'm also seeing this human frozen in a block of ice. And there's a real sense of, you know, being frozen in time, but also frozen, afraid to make the wrong move, afraid to make any move. So, like, you know, frozen in this block of ice, rather than just doing it, rather than just going, yeah, let's do this. This is fun. Let's create what I love. Let's take this action. Let's create that business. Let's go on that day. You know, it's like the momentum comes from taking action. The fun, the creations happen when you take action, which is our final step, which we'll look at in a moment. So any worries, any resistance around taking action, you know. Please tag and treat and do massive change history and everything is needed. Thank you. All right, beautiful. I love it. So, super conscious, please ground all the memories that we touched today back into the matrix of the universe, including memories 1, 2, and 3. Thank you. Beautiful. How are you doing out there? How are you doing? How was that? So let me know your very first number and where you are now. Your very first number and where you are now. Hooray! 7-0. Well done. 10-1. 8-2. 7-0. Fantastic. Well done, you. Yeah, just be gentle with yourself. It's a lot. It's a lot. You're creating new neural pathways in your brain. You're re-sparking those new connections so that you're creating what you love. Look at that focus you've had on what you'd love to create. So I'm just going to share the slides for the final time. And let me know you want to pop your questions in. Let me know if you've got any questions. So these are the 5 steps. What would you love? What would you love just because you'd love it? Where are you now? Where are you now in relation to that? Define number 3, what's the resistance? You saw that resistance come up. And then we re-sparked it, the super conscious. A lot of you released a lot. Some need to come back and do it again. How was that for your first re-spark, by the way? We've got people from all over the world. My dream is training up 1,000 people to take this to the world, coaches, and then I want to train teachers to teach it, because that's the quickest way of getting it out there. I mean, isn't this the best work on the planet? You can see just from looking at the chat, whichever you're on. I think maybe you can see it if you're actually, can you see each other's on Meet? I'm not sure. But yeah, a reduction of a lot of resistance dropped. Even if you can't see it for yourself, you can see it for others. And the proof of the pudding is that you can take action. So that's the final step. What's the bridge? What's the next action? So if you imagine stepping into your end result, your dream, just imagine that's manifested. And I want you to look back at current reality of you now. What's the next step that you took to create that dream, to create that end result? What's that action? Now, the resistance is gone when you take that action. It's as simple as that. So I just thank you for being here. I think everyone has stayed to the end. A few people had to drop off, and you'll get the recording. I thank you so much for being here. I know that it was a late guide that I was told to share this with you. And then I ended up in a totally different location. So thank you for being patient with me. And I hope my rather interesting whiteboard on the knee just still worked no matter what. So those of you who aren't already in the program, here's the invitation. I would love you to work with me. You've already seen how incredible this work is. So book a chat. If there's no availability, because this link gets quite booked up, then just come back, in a day, or message my assistant. But basically, let's have a chat. We'll talk about the options, talk about what you want to create, and if it's true for you to work with us. So I love you so much. Thank you for being here. And yes, we do. As I said, I am coaching. I'm not teaching any teachers at the moment. I'm just focusing on coaches. And then once they've done the work for at least a year, I'll be whoever is interested. I'll be taking them through the teacher training. I have taught teachers before, but in the modality that didn't include, excuse me, all the neuroplasticity work, which comes at the very end of the training, because it's quite intensive and quite incredible, but also there's a lot to learn. It seems what looks easy is quite it can be quite a lot to take in, so I wait until people are ready. So book a chat. We'll see which program is true for you. But this is really life-changing, and I'm not about seeing people manifest little girls. I'm all about the big goals. Let's create these really big dreams, these really big goals, because it's time and the planet needs you. So I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye, my beauties. Thank you for all the love. You're very welcome. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't charge huge fees for this because those of you who are guests, some of you came in free, some of you are already in the program. But I want to share this with the world, which is why I keep it affordable at this level. And then, yeah, the teacher training is a bit more. But yeah, I love you. See you all next time. Bye, my beauties.